G'day, everyone, and welcome to the Insight NBA show. This is the Chase Down. I am your host, Matty G, and a very special episode tonight. Joining me for the very first time is Kayle Fonte, all the way from Canada. It's early in her morning. It's late at night while I'm doing this one. We're going to chase down your wins in week 23. It is the dog days. It is dark. It is dark out here on these fucking streets. Malachi Flynn is dropping 50 pieces, y'all. Malachi freaking Flynn, a former Toronto Raptor. I'm going to ask Kayle how hard her feelings hurt after letting him go after this, because this is the chase down. We want you to get that W. Welcome to the Insight Fantasy Sports Show.
Welcome to the ultimate super coach and fantasy sports show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Kayle, he was a Toronto Raptor, the 50-piece man in Detroit himself, Malachi Flynn. How does it make you feel when you go to sleep at night wondering that you could have let 50 points for your beloved Toronto Raptors go walking into the Motor City?
Well, you know what? At first, I couldn't believe it because I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, is this like a late April Fool's joke or something? Like, there's no way. But yeah, you know what?
Denver is not that far behind. They're not that far behind, and neither is Detroit. The cars run on time in Detroit, I'm sure of it.
That's true. But yeah, it was just crazy. But I'm happy for him. It's sad that we let him go, but good for him.
This is the life of the NBA. You, for those who don't know Kayle, she is. Tell us a little bit about yourself between all the pods that you do and your journalism stuff. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me at Last Word on Sports. I'm a department manager there in basketball. You could also catch me on DMAC's show, Between Two Hoops, where we co-host weekly episodes there. And then a bunch of little side gigs that I do, especially with you. This is my first time here, so thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
No, it's very good to have you along here. Look, we love what you do and love your daily catch-ups. I know that you've just put it's week 23. As we said, it is dark times. It's silly season heroes. It's Delano Banton being like over 50% rostered in leagues type stuff we're talking about here. And another what is it with your former Raptors?
They thrive when they leave Toronto, I guess.
We can't say that about Pascal exactly.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. But like the other guys, like the bench guys more so, I guess. But
I hear Jonte Porter's not doing so well.
That's a little bit different. Yeah, that whole scenario going on was interesting.
I've got to ask you. Actually, I didn't even think of this because I was thinking more fantasy standpoint when we were chatting. What is the word like in Toronto around that whole Jonte Porter gambling scenario? Like from the fan base there being like, when you watch the footage back and you see it, just I'm not going to touch the rebound. I'm not going to grab that. I'm like, I'm going to. What's the word like in Raptors land with that?
Honestly, it's absolutely crazy because everybody was making fun of him too because they were like, oh, look, he's always betting the under because he sucks or something like that. So we didn't take it very well is basically how I would sum it up. Like we were
I don't think I would take it well either.
By it and then making jokes, of course.
Yeah, very much in a Canadian way. I think Canadians and Australians are very similar in that. Like, we'll take the piss out of it. We like to say take the piss. I don't know what you'd say. I don't know what the Canadian is for making a joke out of it, but is there a different?
I don't think so. Shits and giggles, maybe?
Shits and giggles. I think it's the international language for like taking a mickey out of something.
That's the only thing I've ever heard here.
Now, with all your knowledge, before we get down to let's looking at week 23, because as we said, it is the dog days. Has there been anyone so far that's on your immediate week 23 silly season radar, obviously outside of Malachi Flynn, getting minutes and getting an opportunity?
I think one of the biggest names right now would be Banton, just because of how well that he's performed. I'm more so in points league, so I was looking at his game log the other day, and I'm seeing like 50 fantasy points like for multiple games. So I think he's probably one of the leading names for me right now.
I think there is a little bit of gold in Portland right now. One of my favorites is probably Jabari Walker as well, with Kamara going out. He had a big one today, 22 rebounds in a team that still had DeAndre Ayton active as the center. We all know Ayton's out. Grant is going to be in and out or whatever, not even playing. Like we know they're just in the trash. Let's just pack it up for the season. Let Scoot Henderson go out there and get. So I think the Blazers are definitely one of the teams we can look at. Again, today's performance for him, huge numbers. amongst a day of some huge numbers across the NBA, Bol getting a lot of extra minutes and being like a top 20 daily fantasy player, I think we can look for guys like this around that time. Let's break it down. It is week 23. As we said, we are 3 days in. There is 2 weeks left, and there is only 9 days left of fantasy. And yes, I can do my math. There is 4 days of this week left and 7 of next. However, you cheeky monkeys, 2 days are away thanks to the NCAA tournament next week. So we can pack 2 days up in our NBA fantasy action in 23. Kayla, we're about to talk about the 5 games for Thursday and Saturday. There's 5 and 4. They're the low volumes, with very heavy volume, of course, on Friday and Sunday with 12 and 13. Tomorrow, Kayla, Kayla, you tell us who's playing back-to-backs. Don't listen to me. Listen to Kayla. Who's playing back-to-backs Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, so for Thursday, Friday, we got the Mavs, Warriors, Rockets, Clippers, Heat, Knicks, Kings. So we have a couple of options there. We also have, do you want me to go through Friday, Saturday too?
No, who are your options? You said options. Talk options.
Yeah, for sure. You mind going back to the screen? I already forgot the teams. Okay, yeah, so so for Warriors, I think a big one right now is TJD. I think he's a roster player, absolutely. I know he's kind of getting off the waivers right now, but I think he's about like the 50-60% for roster.
Yep.
Off on that, but he still should be available in a good chunk.
I'll bring up.
Yeah, I have it actually. I don't know if I have it here.
Trace Jackson Davis actually 54. Was dropped out. 54.
Yeah.
So
he's be readily available. Most of those leagues are already done too, probably.
100%. And this is when he's 54% available. This is open up to 10 teamers as well. That's up 7% in the last day, which means the needle has moved from under 50% ownership. So this is where he is for those act teams and people who are still rostered in league. So 10-man teams, he's available as an option if one of your guys is out or injured, or you just got one of those you've been right on the waiver wire stream. So that's an option. That also means that he's 12% league, most likely in some, which is where you want to get him. In the 12 teamers, it's guys like this who can change your destiny. And you get a guy like this late in the season who's a hot commodity. So with 54% ownership, Trace is another one. That's actually another one. 57% is Miles McBride.
That's surprising because I picked him up, I think, a couple of games ago. But these are guys who have long-term value. They're not just streams; they're ads. So it gives you some value there. You can save some of your waiver wire pickups.
100%. And 2 games, especially if you're in a points game with Miles McBride, he could absolutely Deucey could go bonkers 6 ways for Sunday. In the Kings, we know Keon Ellis has been getting an additional run there, but Fox and Sabonis obviously well and truly out. They kind of went off your waiver wire in October on draft day. We can't get anything there. Cam Whitmore has come back into the fold in Houston, so we could probably get some run out of Cam Whitmore off our waiver wire. He's going to play himself back in because Dylan Brooks hasn't been very good of late. Norm Powell, a great source of threes and points coming out of the Clippers. And in the Heat, outside Homie Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, if he was dropped in your leagues, he could be coming back.
Possibly even Caleb Martin too. He's been a better streamer in previous weeks. He kind of dropped off a little bit. Haywood Highsmith kind of stepped up a bit too. It really depends on the injuries, though, with which guys receive more runtime.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I know he was quiet recently, but he is 34% rostered, and we can probably get a little bit of a run out of Duncan Robinson in the look, he's playing back in, like 28 and 29 He hasn't shot well, 2 from 7. His last 2 games, he's better than that. He has shown he's better than that. I just think that, but Caleb has been absolutely eating up in that one. And it is the first day of days where those 2 low volume days are. So the teams that we also can target who play Thursday and Saturday, and you don't have to worry about your high volume days, well, that is the Nuggets and the 76ers. So here are your lineups. I'll take you through the Nugs if you do the 76ers, Kayla.
Sure.
Reggie Jackson, KCP, Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, or Brown, as the American announcers say, and Justin Holiday. These guys can be some value there. And in 76ers land?
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting because we've had Embiid returned. So it kind of impacts the value of the other centers, Bamba and Reed. For me, I put more priority over Reed just because we've seen what he can do.
100%.
Yes, he'll give you a couple duds. A lot of people are very back and forth on him, but I think he's a little bit more better than Bamba. But then again, it does depend on how the minutes are distributed. So that's a big thing to watch out for. Even Kyle Lowry too. He's looked pretty good. But that's one he's given more runtime, and it really depends on Maxi's availability. And I could see him missing a couple games. I think he's actually a game time decision for the next game. right?
Which
Yeah, I
means
think so.
campaign. Yeah, he is. And which means
Yeah.
that he is our campaign definitely becomes the ad. Much as well with like who's going to get minutes. Is it going to be Mo Bamba or Paul Reed?
Yeah.
It's anyone's guess in Nick Nurse's rotations. And for some reason, if Kelly Oubre Jr. is back on your radar, go and get Kelly Oubre Jr. Who knows what he's going to do? Who knows? It's anyone's business when Joel Embiid is in the lineup. Kelly Oubre was dropped a lot upon his return. He is obviously the main starter who is going to be losing the most minutes. That's going to frustrate owners. They're like, oh, shit, he's back. Kelly Oubre's done. Like, okay, yeah, Mo Bamba and Paul Reed will switch around the place. But those peripheral minutes there, they love to run Batum out in the starting lineup as well. Here's an ad. Nicholas Batum could be. But Kelly Oubre, we all know that Tsunami Papi can light it up in any way, shape, and form, and we can get it there. Let's go through the games of the day. We did discuss that one, and then we'll talk about you, Kayla, and your journey in fantasy sports and what you love about it the most. We did just mention the 76ers and the Miami Heat. We have made our mentions of these streams tomorrow. Again, the 76ers are away on the Miami Heat. Anyone else there that comes to your mind that you think we could pick up on?
Honestly, I think the main guy is Kelly Oubre. I think he's pretty much rostered, but if he's available, you got to pick him up. It also depends on injuries too. I think Tobias Harris is also questionable, so that would be good. Batum possibly could be a pickup. He's a little bit inconsistent up and down, but I mean, if he has that role and that opportunity, I think he's worth a shot.
This is a really interesting one as well. He's only up 4%, which means he was under the 69% threshold. Generally, that Alex Reclean loves to run off. He's gone up to 70% rostered Kelly Oubre Jr. in the last day. And this is just off the rip now. He's available in one league that I've just opened up. So do have a look for Tsunami Papi on your waiver wires there. Also, the homie Hackers Jr. He's also a nice stable play in Miami. Going around right in that one, we did touch on Keon Ellis being a good ad over in Sacramento. I know that I'm in a 12-man league, but 10 roster spots deep, and Keegan Murray was dropped. And you can bet your bottom dollar that I tried to get. You can bet your bottom dollar that I tried to get on Keegan Murray very, very quickly, and I lost out on waiver wire priority for him. I was like, Jesus, I'm 10th out of 12. Surely enough, it was the guy who was in the championship week.
Of course.
They obviously made the smart move and tried to get Keegan Murray when they found him. But I did pick up Jalen Duren live on Kingy Show a minute ago. It's a fiery league. Like, people drop and stream left, right, and center. So you never know what kind of league you're dealing with until you know what kind of league you're dealing with.
That's true. And it makes it a lot of fun, too. It's very exciting. A lot of anticipation.
Can we get more Davion Mitchell minutes tomorrow, you think, is for Sacramento?
Maybe a few more, but he's not really one of my preferred streamers at the moment. If anything, I would kind of look at Harrison Barnes. He's a little bit inconsistent, of course, but a lot of the Sacramento role player guys are. Kevin Huerter's like that. Monk is like that. But Barnes, I just think just because he has those extra minutes, we've seen kind of what he can do. He can give you points, threes. I think he has a little bit more value in a points leagues, though. That's the main thing.
100%. Miles McBride, as I said, he's just gone up over 70% ownership. You picked him up the other day. So this is another hot guy who's in and out of the lineups. Precious Achua could get a little bit more of a burn tomorrow, a little bit in New York. I don't really like anyone there, but I do probably have my eye on him only because Josh Hart is questionable for tomorrow's game. So that's where I've kind of got my eyes out for him. Otherwise, there's not much action we can glean. Anything you could like over in Dallas and Atlanta?
Maybe Washington. He's been a little bit better actually since moving from the Hornets. The only thing is they're very crowded down there. They have a lot of depth, which is good for real life, but for fantasy purposes. But then again, Lively is also out, so that opens up a few more minutes. Drop Lively, by the way, because he's probably done for the regular season. But it's also good for Gafford. So if you have Gafford, that's very good for you, because especially when he was looking like a drop a few weeks ago.
My God, Daniel Gafford is he's a journey. The man is a journey to be on. Well, I love that team. And I've got to say, I love PJ Washington. I actually picked him up in a league that, shout out to Maddie Malley, who I do the Tuesday show with, to pick up. We're having a very fierce competition for fifth. We were in a league where only the top four went through to the finals, and then the top four play 2 weeks of 2-week finals. And they're in the grand final week now. So we're in like this whole, like, we were like the next two down. We're in this epic battle right now. And he picked up Miles McBride when I didn't get to. And I picked up PJ Washington because I'm trying to focus on getting some rebounds. His field goal percentages have gone up a little bit of lately. His free throw percentage has been down. I'm kind of tanking that a little bit. But 20 points in his last game, 12 in the one before that, and getting 5 and 6 rebounds respectively. But what we like from PJ is the steals and blocks, the stocks. He had 4 last game, 2 the game before that. Getting you those peripherals, especially if you're in a championship or a playoff for third, they're important this time of year. And people forget them so easily, Kayla.
For sure. Yeah, and I think he's a good pickup too right now. He can give you the occasional dud here and there, but like I said, with Lively out, it kind of opens up more minutes in the front court.
100%. Over with the Golden State Warriors, you did say Trace Jackson Davis was one of the hot ads that you had in mind. Anyone else we could be looking for with the Warriors and the Rockets matchup?
I think Thompson is a big one too. I know some people were concerned with Whitmore's return, and he did have kind of not the best game when he returned, but I think he still has a lot of potential, especially with Sengun out. Like, it just opens up a lot of minutes. That said, I don't think Landale is really a big ad. He's been very inconsistent. I know
you can't say that on an Australian pod. You can't say that on just so you're aware. There is this whole thing that we get. No, 100%. He's not an ad. He's kind of had his moment to shine now, and he'll still get some minutes, but it's not going to be like they're young and athletic. They're a young and athletic team.
It's not enough. And there was that one game where he got 7 blocks and everyone was like, oh my God, ad. And I was like, that's not sustainable. He's not Wemby.
Sustainable. He's not Wemby. He's not Wemby. He's not going to get 7 blocks a game. This is not. It was great for him to have that moment and a little bit of focus on him. And he became a bit of a fan favorite in Houston. He did the post-game interview a couple of games after that as well, which was kind of nice to see. It's nice that he's getting the minutes after basically not playing for most of the season. But like you said, it's not sustainable, and it's not what we're going to get any form of function from one of our players, especially in a championship week here. Can I ask you, this game, is it your game of the day with what's kind of running the line? Because there is this very thin window that the Houston Rockets can still either tie or beat the Golden State Warriors for that last play-in spot in the West. The Warriors, since hearing smoke of this, have gone on a 5-game win streak. And the last couple of games, Houston have faltered. Do you think this could be a really fun game tomorrow?
I think so. I really think so. But it wouldn't make any sense for me if they did make the play in Houston, right? Like, what are you playing for? Like, how far would you get realistically? Like, even the Warriors too, like, obviously they're not a team that's going to win the chip this year, but it would make more sense to have them get the play-in spot. You know what I mean?
I do. I think it's playing for draft picks for them. Who owns whose draft pick at this point in time? Like that's all that it really is. But it's also a really great story. Like this time of year, winning 11 games, Alperen Şengün goes down, fans, hands in their heads, mourning the loss of this baby Jokic archetype. Oh, wait a minute. We just won 11 games in a row. Amen Thompson is a revelation. Fred VanVleet's really good. And Jalen Smith is one of the top 10 players in fantasy basketball.
That was a crazy stretch. But yeah, when I saw the win streak, I was like, what? I was very surprised too, because I like I said, it doesn't really make sense to me. I just think embrace the tank.
Embrace the tank. Jalen Green has been incredible. And I like the Raptors. How do you feel about, can I just ask, is this part of the now? No. I want to ask this directly to a Canadian who I know that loves basketball. Is this part of Masai Ujiri's secret plan to put the Canadian national basketball team into the NBA in hopes of one day winning an Olympic gold medal? Yes or no? Can you confirm?
Ooh, I cannot confirm, but you know what? He's got a master plan, and everybody here, I can honestly say, just has full trust in him, 100%. And for the most part, he hasn't really let us down. He's been amazing. So that could be part of the master plan. But I feel like
to just convince everyone that he is amazing, and that's it.
He's amazing. That's all I could say for now. But I feel like the full plan will be revealed in due time.
The Mormons have been saying that for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's coming. It's a long plan, very long term. So,
and you can only see that plan if you go into a secret room and a secret place with the secret glasses and look at the secret book and you do all of the things. No, to be fair, I don't know what the plan is right now with the Raptors. I think you've got assets that you're going to trade away. I think there's these like the Poeltl contract, and I think the start of it was getting fresh and young with guys like RJ and Emmanuel Quickly and Scotty Barnes, and then it comes from here. I think that's the start of the plan, and a draft pick next year improves. And then I think guys are going off the books. And then you've done it before. You did it before bringing in Kawhi Leonard and making a big superstar move. You've drafted well in the past as well. You know, you've got guys who are coming on contracts like Kyle Lowry, underutilized guys and other teams come in and end up becoming Toronto Raptors legends. This is what Toronto does. This is what Drake wants.
Exactly. Drake is part of the plan too. I have to clarify that.
Drake is always part of the plan.
100%. Yeah.
Come on. We know Drake is all about the 6, which is bringing us to the 5th game of tomorrow, because you can't have 6 before number 5. And that is the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. Big showdown for me. I just like Norm Powell. We touched on our Nuggets earlier, but Kayla, I think this is, can we see the Clippers? They've won a couple in a row. Can we see it give them to one of the big dogs in the West?
I think so. It also depends on if the Nuggets stars sit. They have missed a couple of games. I don't think Jamal Murray's returned yet, so that's a good sign. Also for Reggie Jackson, that's a good streaming option right there.
Good streaming option.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they could probably pull off an upset. Something I like to monitor. I think it's going to be a close one, though.
Well, Kawhi Leonard has been officially ruled now as out for tomorrow for the Clippers. So we know that Kawhi will sit tomorrow. Jamal Murray has been upgraded to questionable, which is not officially out, which means he could have a chance of starting. But with Kawhi out, do they risk it? Do you be like, well, we could probably beat them with KCP and Reggie revenge game on the Clippers? Who knows? So we could see a little bit of that smoke coming down the line. And I think that wraps us up for our game break. Again, as we said, go over those guys. If you want one of those ads for that team from the Nuggets, you've got Reggie, KCP, Peyton Watson, Christian Braun, and Justin Holiday, because they do play again on that low volume Saturday, which is 4 games, 12 and 13. How do you manage in times like this where there's a super low volume day, super high volume, low and then high? Like it's like an emotional roller coaster.
It's really hard, but what I like to do is I go on #basketball and I look at the advanced schedule and I just try to do bulk streams. So I know like Atlanta was one of those teams that had 3 games and 4 games. Of course, they're a little bit hard to stream from. There's not really many good options there. Like I know Fernando was one possible option that I was looking at. But yeah, the best thing to do is just, I think, bulk streams. Save your ad.
100%. Yeah, one move for 3 games over those course of days is really valuable around this time of year. And especially with the 13 games on Sunday, it's nuts. And that's the last day. And if you have randomly a roster spot available, well, okay, who do you bring in then? Or who are you going to drop from your team that's been trashed to get you in over that one? You're really good to target the Thursday and the Sunday. The Friday is a little bit easier with 24 teams, but not by much. And I think that's the big thing. Like, look for the bulk games. Look who has the most. That most teams only do have 2 left for the rest of the days. Find some juice there and bring that one into. That's been our game review. Kayla, let's talk about hot guys down the stretch. Let's talk
over by this hot guy and let me out.
Has there been someone that for you this year who's been like, I've got to get this guy? It's a bit of season lenses in reflection. I've got to get this person now. I've seen it in a couple of games before they pop. I need to get them. Has there been a person that stood out?
There has been a couple people looking at my team right now, actually. So I was lucky enough to pick up Jalen Johnson very early on. Yes. I got him. And I was so happy about that. And DMAC was too, because he's a huge Jalen Johnson guy. I think he's right now ranked like top 45 in my league, points league. Yep. So that's amazing. Isaiah Hartenstein.
Triple-double today. Triple-double today for Jalen Johnson.
He got me 81 fantasy points. 81. I was like, I think you might have just single-handedly saved my team, because I'm in the championship this week.
Oh, this is it. This is chip week
for me. Yeah, this is like my main league that I do with my coworkers. So I cannot lose. I cannot.
You're the manager.
I am. Yeah, I run that league. Yep.
Oh my Lord.
I can't lose. I can't lose.
You can't lose.
Yeah, we started doing it last year too. So I won the first year that we did it. So I got to repeat. You know?
How close is it?
It's pretty close. Like, I'm projected to lose right now. I'm projected to get 1576 points, and he's 1624. So it's a little bit close.
Does he have Kawhi Leonard? Because he's out tomorrow.
He has Giants. Tobias Harris. Who else?
That's
He has
another. That's
Leonard,
another.
Conley, Middleton, Towns, Scotty Barnes, Kessler, Murray. So his whole team is injured, pretty much. But I have Hero, I have Bane, I have Dame, Kelly Olynyk. Those are all out for me right
Dame
now.
being out
That's
for the
hurt
first
me.
2 games this week has really hurt. I'm in that one against Mally in the same way, and we're on points, and he picked up Miles McBride, and I'm just like, this is where I'm targeting field goal percentage and rebounds. That's why I picked up Duran for these. I'm like, I'll just get Duran.
That's a good pickup, though. I can't believe, that he was dropped.
I couldn't believe that Keegan Murray was dropped the other day after Malik Monk went out.
Yeah,
I was
that
crazy.
makes no sense.
I was like, no.
But
And the guy, it's nuts. I'm going to bring it up now. Here we go. My team. These are the guys who are. This is the thing about ESPN when you go down the leagues. Like the top guys always rise to the top, and up there's Lowry Market and Scotty Barnes. Shout out, young Scott. Vassell, Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Hart, and then I went down a little bit, and there's guys like Scooty Henderson who's popping off. But there was Keegan Murray and there was Jalen Duren. I'm like, no.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Wild. But no one put a waiver claim in on Jalen Duren. Because again, there's only a couple of teams. No one put it, because this is the thing about, what do you think about when teams, and this is for everyone who plays fantasy. I'm all for, like, if you play through the season for fun, because it still keeps you engaged. You still get to follow the stats. You still get to do it for fun, even if you're not playing for the cash. I know it's disappointing not to take out first, but just play, man. Just play for the love of playing fantasy basketball. Yeah. Don't be an asshole and drop players and just cause chaos on the waiver wire. Don't be that human. We don't want that.
Yeah.
But like for me, like I think this speaks to, in desperate times, desperate measures. They dropped someone to get a win. They didn't have a back-to-back set. They needed someone for the last day, and this is where you need to be able to swoop.
Yes. But like if I was in that situation, I would drop players that are not as good as them. You know what I mean? Like I guess obviously it does depend. I know there's probably concerns with Duren. Is he going to play every game? He's had a couple.
I think it was after the injury to his mouth thing. I think it was maybe a fear of that. You know, after he's lost a tooth, it's Detroit. They're tanking. They don't care.
Yeah. See, that I kind of understand, but at the same time, it's like I would still.
Keegan Murray, I couldn't.
That doesn't make sense. No, that's wild.
That was a desperation move. But this is how stacked the teams are. My team is Donovan Mitchell, Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Johnson. Again, shout out to your hot guy, waiver wire pickup of the year. Tobias Harris, Isaiah Hartenstein, again, waiver wire pickup of the years. Mikal Bridges, and I picked up PJ Washington earlier today. And again, with you on the same page, think there's an opportunity now with him, with Lively out. Miles Turner, Trey Murphy III, Jalen Duren, and Damian Lillard.
That's pretty sad.
That's how stacked these teams are in this league. So it's pretty intense. We spoke about hot guys, like him being one of you guys. Who was one guy for you this year that was like...
I think Mikal Bridges is actually a big one. Like in terms of hype, he wasn't a horrible player, but based on what we were expecting from him, he was extremely disappointing. He was actually dropped in the leagues.
Where did you have him on your board?
Oh my God. My brother actually took him in my league. I think he picked him in the second or third round.
Yeah. He was
average.
Yeah, the average was about anywhere between 25 to 30 would have been about where he was. So seeing him fall down, anyone else in yours, maybe someone you were tied to on draft day, like this is a guy's stock who I'm pretty sure is going to be good, but then just didn't meet that level. I put my hand on my heart and say Obi Toppin. I thought he'd be better in Indiana.
I don't know. I kind of had a feeling that he would still be
mid.
Yeah, like I had like high hopes, like maybe he could be like a deep league option, if anything.
Yes.
But I don't even think he went drafted in my league, to be honest with you.
See, I expected him to be at the end of the day. I was like hoping for maybe 100-ish, 120. If he could give some of that big run that he gave in New York, if he could give some of that athleticism to a young team, he just never got there.
Yeah.
He just didn't get there, Kayla.
But you know what, though? Another name for me is Scoot, because I drafted Scoot with my last pick, and I held on to him because everyone was saying hold on to him. And I was like, you know what, I'll give him a chance because obviously, yes, he is a rookie. Rookies go through these things. But then I think I dropped him after a couple of weeks, and he was just extremely disappointing. He was hurt for a while. Now he's picking up, of course, but that's because there's also a lot of injuries on the Blazers, and we've talked about that.
It's also because you dropped him. And I think that's the rule in fantasy. We always know that when we drop a person that's, been disappointing, the second that we are the person to drop them, that's exactly the time that they're going to go on a run.
Exactly. See, I got lucky because I did drop him a little bit earlier. So there was like months where he was just doing absolutely nothing. So it paid off in that sense. But now that I dropped him, someone else picked him up. He's kind of floated around from multiple teams, but now he's gone and I can't pick him up, which makes sense too, because you should be adding him.
Well, he's in this league right now. Maybe I'll pick him up on the next look I can get for the Blazers. Talking about multiple teams, this brings us back before we leave the show today. You do multiple things in fantasy sport. How did you get started in doing all of these multiple hats that you wear, like heading up the basketball division over at and then over between two hoops, and then over here doing this and over here doing that? How did you start up, and how did you build to where you are right now and where you want to go?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a story, but basically I started out just covering the NBA and basketball in general. I wrote for a couple of different publications, but then eventually I moved over to Last Word on Sports. And from there, eventually they wanted us to choose a specialty. So I was kind of debating, like, what do I want to do? Because I like covering all the teams, but I wasn't able to do that. They wanted us to pick like one thing. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll do fantasy because I had recently gone into fantasy the year before. And so I chose that and I kind of just rolled with it. And I wrote an article about, I think it was like draft tips or something like that. And DMAC, my co-host of Between Two Hoops, saw it. And he messaged me and he was like, hey, do you want to start up a podcast? And I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, the only thing is I have absolutely zero experience with podcasting. Like, articles are like my number one form of journalism, pretty much. So then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me think about it, because he messaged me in September and I'm in my last year of school at university, as a journalism student, actually. So then after that, I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's do the podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then from there, everything kind of just snowballed. Like, Josh Lloyd started to take notice of me. You started to take notice of me, other people, like other analysts. And it's just been amazing. It opened up a lot of different opportunities for me, which is I'm really grateful for, because I want
to say as well, because I love that I think it catches people off guard when it's like it's a girl doing it. It's more like I'm like, they can read basketball numbers too and look at sports people, and I think that catches a lot of people off guard. I think the perception is like, and I think that's very not what reality is. It's people who love sport, not a boy loves sport or girl loves sport. People love sport.
Exactly.
And they want to share that love and that knowledge with people, which is what you do. And again, Between Two Hoops, amazing. Last Word on Sports. What's been one of your favorite articles to write this season?
I really like doing the analysis articles where I look at trades, how that works out. I do weekly analysis based on like who should you pick up, drops, things like that. I think I'm going to play around with the format for that next season, though. I feel like it could be a little bit better. But yeah, my favorite thing so far is doing the trade analysis. That's a lot of fun. Even on
trades,
posting things.
Well, then I know next season we're going to have to get you on the Tuesday trade show where we talk about hot and cold guys and buy low and sell high. We do a big show on Tuesday nights, probably very early in the morning. I'm going to have to send you coffee vouchers to wake you up for that one, because it's like 5 a.m. your time, I think, to do it with Matty Malley. It's a great show we do every Tuesday. What's coming in the works for you before the end of the season? Tell people where they can follow you, get to know you and your stuff, and get some intel on the NBA from you.
Yeah, for sure. So the main thing, follow me on Twitter, Kayle_Fonte. That's where I post articles. I post daily content. Right now, I have a lot of stuff in the works for the off season. So I won't reveal that quite just yet, but I will do a post and then reveal kind of what I'm planning to do.
Fun. Make sure you do check that out. That's Kayle. That's Kayle_Fonte on Twitter. Make sure you follow her, like and subscribe to her stuff. Get a little bell notification when her stuff goes off, just like you should with our pod. And then don't forget, if you haven't yet, jump into our Discord. Our Discord is pumping off over there. Get into it for NRL, AFL, with NBL and BBL later in the year. And for the last of the NBA season, it's only $25 for the unlimited access for the entire year for every single sport with access to the experts. You can ask us and message us, and we'll get back to you. It's about your trade tips and tricks and analysis and your formats and pimp my teams. We've got all that covered for you. And a big shout out to our sponsors as well, the Standard Squeeze. They're always on board with us, especially for those travelers. We should get you something Standard Squeezy over in Canada, actually, because you need those to walk to work, like a mug. You need one that can keep it super, super hot. Well, the Standard Squeeze can do that, one in their 4-in-1 mug. Make sure you use promo code INSIDE15 to get your hands on one of those bad boys, and check it out, standardsqueeze.com.au. Go on, have a squeeze, and have a follow. I'm Matty G, of course. You can follow me at NBAG with Kayle. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was a great show.
Make sure you do like and subscribe to everything. As the bell says, it's all down below. We'll take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon.